Do that, I'm going to hand over to Jim Bills, who is the convener of the golf day. He is the guy that made all of this happen. I'm sure he was here stitching the tent this morning because he's done all of it. Please make him welcome Jim Bills.
Thanks, Stuart. It was gaffer tape, by the way. That's what's holding the screen in place. First of all, don't leave, but there is still food over here. There is some muffins and there are some yogurty cup thingies. So if anybody feels the desire for a bit more, duck out whilst I'm stalling here for just a few moments while David and Stuart swap places and get their stuff ready. But who's David Pich? Well, it happens that I've known him pretty much, I think, since he came to Brisbane. I recall my first meeting with Dave at Mr. and Mrs. G on Eagle Street Pier. I don't think they're still there. Tuesday, 21st of July 2015. Now he's getting really worried. He'd just been appointed the CEO of the Australian Institute of Management and was about to tell a room full of the members that his vision of the Australian management of AIM was nothing like they'd ever thought it was. And you can imagine that that was potentially pretty career-threatening, damaging, life-threatening. So he was canvassing, selling the last of the bricks and mortar and focusing intently on the core business of the Institute of Management as a member organisation. He led his invitation with the words, this event has been loosely called Meet the New CEO, but this is primarily because I couldn't think of anything else to call it. And that really sums up Dave. He does know what to call it, by the way. Already the direction of the Institute had been challenged. Members were unhappy, they'd been forgotten, communication was pretty weak, and it was potentially a hostile room. So how'd it go? Well, it's 2020. AIM is now the Institute of Management and Leaders, and most certainly Dave's leadership and vision has been instrumental in making that happen. So I am very certain that the information he's going to share with you today will assist and inspire you.
Geez, thanks very much, Jim. I've got to inspire you. Where to start? I'm going to start with an apology. The golden rule of presenting is that you should never start with an apology, but I spend a lot of time presenting, and I've found over the years, particularly when I do this presentation, that it's worth apologising. So I'm going to apologise to those people that think, so typically when I stand up, people want to know what happened to AIM, the Australian Institute of Management. So if you want to know what happened to the Australian Institute of Management, you're going to be a bit disappointed because I'm not going to talk about that at all, because I'm going to talk about what makes a good manager and a leader. Okay, if you're a member of what used to be called the Australian Institute of Management and is now the Institute of Managers and Leaders, I'm the person that rebranded that organisation and ditched the name AIM and sold AIM to venture capital, and I make no apology for that. For those people that know about the Australian Institute of Management, I'll let you know later why I did that. But I am also going to start with another apology, and before I start with this apology, I'll just tell you a story. I did this exact presentation to the Association of Local Government down in Canberra, and there were 3,500 people in the room, and I was one of the keynote speakers, and it was such a big conference that they had one of those applications where you can give feedback to the speaker after the speaker has spoken, and I made the mistake of having my mobile phone in my pocket with the application open, and my watch is connected to the application, and as I was presenting, for some reason my wrist started to vibrate, and it was all the people in the room complaining about what I was saying. Okay, and I did, when Jim asked me to come along and present this morning, I did say how tough are the audience, how easily insulted are they, and he said, oh no, they're all good, you can insult. Okay, so there are three groups of people, so just so you know, this presentation is usually an hour, but I've only got half an hour, so I've cut it in half, okay? So typically there are 6 groups of people that are insulted through my presentation. Today it's only 3. That's because I've cut half of the presentation out. And I've done that before, and I've decided which 3 groups of people I'm going to insult. So I'm going to tell you who you are, right? If you are a supporter of President Trump, you are going to be insulted. I make no apology. Okay, sorry. Feel free to email me afterwards. I don't care, right? If you believe in authenticity and authentic leadership, you're going to be insulted. I don't care, okay? And the last one, and this is the big one, okay? If you believe in mindfulness, you're going to be insulted, and I don't care, okay? So there you go. You can find me on LinkedIn, you can give me your feedback, you can send me an email, and fortunately, there are 3 other groups of people who I won't say who you are, because I'm not going to cover those 3 things today, but Trump supporters, people that believe in authentic leadership, and people who believe and practice mindfulness. You're all in the firing line today. Okay, and the other thing I want to say is this: I am absolutely not here to plug my book. However, if you want to read the best book on leadership that's, whatever, it got to number 5 on the Australian bestseller list, it's here. They're typically $20, okay, but because it's COVID, they're $20, okay? However, all of the $20, and I've got, it only looks like there's 4 there, but I've actually got a box in the back of the car. Everyone who buys a book today, the money will go to the charity. I'll hand the money over. It's all good. Okay, so back in 2018, the Institute of Managers and Leaders, which used to be called the Australian Institute of Management, did a survey of our members. We have 12,000 members and we have 2,000 corporate members, and we did a survey. We sent out some questions and we were looking at management and leadership in Australia and in New Zealand. So in 2018, the Institute of Managers and Leaders took over the New Zealand Institute of Management. So we're now in the Institute of Managers and Leaders Australia and New Zealand. We have an office in Auckland, and we have about 600 members and 200 corporate members in New Zealand. So we're truly international. We did a survey, and the survey found lots and lots of stuff, but one of the things that it found was that 75% of Australian organisations and New Zealand organisations are reporting a skills gap in management and leadership, okay? So 75% of organisations don't have decent managers and leaders, to cut a long story short. Okay, so on the basis of that, and by the way, I think that's incredibly concerning, and I think it's even more concerning as we look to exit a pandemic. Okay, so I firmly believe that management and leadership needs to be the one skill that you need in an organisation as you exit a crisis. Okay, because we're going to have tough decisions. Small businesses, medium-sized businesses, large businesses need to make really tough decisions. You have to make those in the right way for your business and for your staff. That's about management and leadership. 75% of organisations have a skills gap in management and leadership. Okay, and the golden rule of pandemics, as we all know, because we're all living through one, and we've been thinking about what's going to take this country forward as we exit this pandemic, is that leadership matters most in a crisis. It's actually really, really easy to lead an organisation, a business, whether it's big or small, when you're not in crisis. But in a crisis, you've got to know how to lead, because you've got to make tough decisions and lead people through to the other side of a crisis. Okay, so the problem is in society at the moment, in business at the moment, there is a skills gap for management and leadership. So on the basis of the research we did, we found that there are 6 things you need to do to lead well. Okay, so we distilled management and leadership down to 6 things, 6 really simple things, and those are the things that I'm going to talk about today. But I've only got half an hour, so I've only picked 3 of them. Okay, so I've ignored 3, and I've picked the 3 that are probably the most controversial, of course, because we like a bit of controversy before a golf game, don't we? So there are 6 layers of what we call intentional leadership. Okay, so did you know that you can actually own words? You can trademark words. So the Institute has trademarked that phrase, intentional leadership, and we believe that intentional leadership is the antidote to accidental management. So we've all heard of the concept of accidental managers. I'll explain what they are. An accidental manager is someone who's a technical specialist And by dint of, everyone knows this, because you've all worked for these people, or you've been one yourself and you've gone away from being an accidental manager. So it's somebody who, by dint of their technical specialism, becomes the manager of that team or that business or that organisation. The problem with accidental managers is the skills that you need to be technically good at your job are typically the exact opposite of the skills that you need to lead people, okay? So if you're the best lawyer and you're then promoted to partner and you're managing a team of lawyers, the skills that you need to be a lawyer are diametrically opposite to the skills that you need to lead a team of lawyers. The problem is organisations promote people into positions of authority and leadership on the basis of how good technically they are. And actually, the reason I'm standing here in front of you today is that I left a role for Hewlett-Packard in the UK and emigrated to Australia because I was a junior marketing person in the marketing team of Hewlett-Packard, and the director of marketing resigned, and the best marketing person in the team got his job. And he was a horrible, toxic bully who was a fantastic marketing person and a dreadful manager. Okay, that's the accidental manager. We believe at the Institute, we believe the antidote to the accidental manager is to become an intentional leader and to lead with intent. And we believe there are 6 things you need to do to be an intentional leader. And I'm going to go through these 6 things. I'm actually going to go through 3 of them, and along the way I'm going to insult a few people. And I'll start with this one. Okay, we believe at the Institute, and our research has shown, that no woman or man is an island. Okay, so we believe in order to move away from accidental management and into intentional leadership, you absolutely must find yourself a mentor. Okay, and we believe that leadership is lonely, and our research has shown, and all research into management and leadership shows, that those leaders who have mentors lead better than those leaders who don't have mentors. So Harvard University did a survey in 2017 that looked at the general management teams of the Dow Jones 100 organizations, and it found a direct correlation, not causation of course, it found a direct correlation between the performance of the organizations whose general managers had mentors compared to those organizations whose general managers don't have mentors. So, of course, we've got some members of the junior chamber down here. My advice to you too, and I'm sure you already have, is find yourself a fantastic business mentor. If you're a leader in business, you need to have a mentor. Why? Because the problem is leadership is lonely. You're sandwiched between the people above you who are typically putting pressure on you, and the people below you who are typically putting pressure on you, and it's incredibly lonely. So my advice, and the advice of the Institute, is go and find yourself a mentor or a sounding board, someone you can talk to, someone you can download to and with, and someone who's not in your organisation who can mentor you. So I myself have 2 mentors, and I'm a mentor to 2 mentees, and we do that at the Institute through a program called Member Exchange, which is the Institute of Managers and Leaders mentoring program. It's free, and at any one time we have 3,500 people going through our program. So right at the core of the Institute's product offering is this program of mentoring. We firmly believe that managers and leaders, in order to move away from being accidental managers towards being intentional leaders, you have to have a mentor. Go get yourself one. Now I'm going to get a little bit controversial. I did say, I thought we'd warm up. We'd warm up by not getting controversial, and now we're going to talk about something that's controversial. So the second layer of leadership, number 2, is that we believe that intentional leaders need to be self-aware. Okay, so what is the difference between self-awareness and authenticity? Because I believe, and the Institute believes, that authenticity is the biggest load of pop psychology nonsense that's ever been created in society. And if I see another picture of a baby with its fist in the air telling people to be authentic, I will go absolutely crazy. I'll explain why authenticity is a right load of bullshit. And it goes like this. Okay, who is the most authentic leader in the world at the moment? Who is the one leader who is showing his absolute, true, absolute core self?
Daniel Andrews.
May well be Daniel Andrews. I believe it's President Trump. I don't believe that President Trump is putting things on. I don't believe he's showing a different kind of persona. I think he is absolutely the most authentic leader in the world at the moment. He is absolutely true to himself. He is, unfortunately, in my view, and the view of the Institute, an absolutely dreadful leader. Okay, the problem with authenticity is this: it's a cul-de-sac. Okay, authenticity demands no ability to change. You can simply say, I'm being authentic. The problem with authenticity is, of course, you can be authentically bad. Let me show an example of somebody who I kind of admire in politics, but unfortunately is authentically bad. Here we go, John Bercow. Does anyone know who John Bercow is? He used to be the Speaker of the House of Commons. So he was the Speaker of the House of Commons in the UK through the Theresa May government and through the Brexit thing. And here is a quote from John Bercow. I may be pompous and an irritant, but I'm completely authentic. My message to him is, don't be pompous and an irritant then. Change yourself. Because it's not good enough, of course, to say, I might be a toxic misogynist bully, but at least I'm being authentic. Just don't be a toxic misogynist bully. The problem with authenticity is it demands no self-awareness and no ability to change. So we believe at the Institute that managers and leaders need to be on a journey of self-awareness and change. They need to get to know themselves. They need to ask people about themselves. And on the basis of that feedback, you need to change yourself. The problem with authenticity is it's a cul-de-sac that requires no change, and it's an excuse for poor behavior. So how do you go about, by the way, changing yourself as a manager and a leader? We believe that all organizations, whether they're big or small, should introduce 360-degree feedback into their business. So if you're running a small business and you've got people that work for you, you need to get feedback from those people about your management and leadership style. And on the basis of that feedback, you need to change and be on a journey of management and leadership change. So if you haven't introduced 360-degree feedback into your business, I fully recommend that you do that. You can, of course, contact the Institute because we have the best 360-degree feedback tool on the market. It's called IML 360. It's dirt cheap, but you can go online and find any other 360-degree feedback loop. I'll tell you what we do at the Institute. So we've introduced what we call open 360-degree feedback. So this is how it works. Every time an appraisal comes round, we go and ask 10 people what we think, what those people think of their manager and a leader, and it's completely open, it's not anonymous, and we share it. I've just had my appraisal with the board of directors. They chose 10 people, and they presented me with all of that feedback. Of course, the people that gave me poor feedback no longer work for the organisation. That was a joke. I've always got to point out that that was a joke, but I'll give you some feedback from my feedback. Okay, so Jim gave me a lovely introduction and said that I changed the whole strategy of what was the Australian Institute of Management, and I did do that. And I consider myself to be a pretty strategic kind of person, and I'm banging on about strategy all the time, and I'm always presenting about strategy. At this year's appraisal with the board, the feedback we got from 10 of my staff members was that they don't understand the strategy of the business, and that was really quite chastening to me and really quite humbling. But what that showed me is that I need to be much better at the way that I communicate the strategy to my people. So I took that on board, and now every week we have an update on strategy in the business. If you're not asking your people, big or small in your organisation, about what they think of your management and leadership style, how can you improve your management and leadership style? You have to be on a journey of self-awareness, and you have to start moving away from authenticity, because it's pop psychology nonsense. The next layer of leadership that I'd like to mention, and the third one, is that you need, and this is incredibly simple, of course, and it's the one that probably raises the most controversy, and it's this. Leaders make decisions, and you have to actively make time to make decisions. Now, of course, when I say this, everybody goes, yeah, but that's really obvious. Okay, we all know that leaders make decisions, and we all know that you have to actively make time and think before you act. The thing is, when I press this button, we're going to come to probably the most controversial slide that you'll see today, because it's this slide that causes most organisations to sit back and think, oh my God, this is much bigger and much more complex than we thought, and here we go. Okay, so we believe that in order to be an intentional leader and to move away from accidental management, the only job of managers and leaders is to set the organisation up so your people in your business, whether your business is big or small, the only thing that your role as a manager of leaders to do is to allow your people to make sound decisions. So are you setting your business up so that people can make sound decisions? Okay, so have you looked into flexible working hours in your business? I'll give you an example of how this works, right? I get up at 3 o'clock every morning. I got up at 3 o'clock because I'm an ultra marathon runner, and at 3 o'clock this morning I got up and I went out for a run, and I got back at 4 o'clock and then I got ready to come here. Okay, I do that, but because I get up at 3 o'clock every morning, I'm absolutely terrible after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, okay? So my working day is typically from about 6 in the morning till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I go home and I go to bed at 7 o'clock. I'm actually really boring, okay? Do you understand the working time and the best working hours of every person that works for you, or do you make an assumption that everybody works how you work? So have you understood what the best decision-making time for every person in your business is? And if you haven't, how can you set your business up so that your people are making the right decisions at the right time? Okay, so I have a leadership team of 8, and I know every single person's best working hours. And I know, for example, that I shouldn't really call my marketing manager at 9 o'clock in the morning because she's got 2 kids and she's a single mum, and that's not her time. So I never call her then, because why would I want to disrupt that time? Because that's not when she makes good decisions. So have you sat down with every single person that works for you and found out from them when they work best? And if not, why not? Because you're supposed to be setting your team up to be at the best time to make the best decisions. The next thing is, have you got your own personal resilience plan? Do you know how you bounce back from things that impact your working life? And do you know the resilience plan for every single member of your team? And if not, why not? Because you're supposed to be setting your team up to make the right decisions. So I know, for example, that my head of engagement doesn't operate well unless she does Pilates. So every time I have a meeting with her, I ask her if she's done Pilates. I absolutely detest Pilates, but I know that I don't operate well unless I run 3 or 4 times a week. So I make sure when I put my diary together for the week that the very first thing that goes into my diary is running. Have you got your own physical resilience plan? I suggest that you do need to get that. Do you make sure in your organisation that you monitor leave? So every time we have a team meeting, we go through the leave in the organisation. We're going to announce next week to the 65 staff at the Institute that we're closing down for 3 weeks over Christmas. Because what we've noticed through the pandemic time is that people are actually not taking holidays because they can't go on holiday anywhere. Leave balances are going up in the organisation, and we notice a correlation in IML between leave balance and stress levels. So when people have got high leave balances because they're not taking leave, we notice stress levels are up, and that impacts mental health. So we're closing the organisation down for 3 weeks over Christmas and encouraging people to go off on leave. And have you put things in place in your organisation to make sure it's mentally healthy? The point of all this, of course, is that what you're trying to do is set your organisation up so people can make good decisions, because it's actually decisions that push your business forward. So that's the third layer of leadership. You need to give your people time to think and act. And finally, I want to mention this one. We believe that management and leadership is a process of reflection. And reflection is really based around one simple question. What did I do in a management and leadership situation? And if I was in that situation again, what would I do differently? And I think we don't spend enough time asking ourselves, when we've been through a situation at work, what did we do and what would we do again if we were faced with the same situation? And it was really that process of reflection and the fact that reflection is integral to change that caused the Institute in 2018 to sign a global agreement with the Chartered Management Institute in the UK. So for the first time in Australia, you can become a chartered manager just as you can become a chartered accountant. Okay, so we at the Institute believe that management and leadership is a profession, just as being a lawyer is a profession and just as being an accountant is a profession. So there are 32,000 chartered managers in the world, and there are 1,000 chartered managers in Australia. I'm a chartered manager myself, I've been through the charter. And the charter is based around that simple question: what have you done in management and leadership? And if you had your time again, what would you do differently? So I would encourage everybody to go chartered and to professionalise management and leadership. And I'm going to end by saying this. In 2019, Yale University did a study of constructs in management and leadership. And they looked at different constructs. And what they asked was, what's the one construct in management and leadership that makes a difference, a personal difference to the manager and leader? And they compared, they narrowed it down to 2 constructs that had an impact. And they compared mindfulness with other constructs, because of course there's a big revolution in mindfulness at the moment, you know, adult colouring, yoga, all that kind of stuff. And they looked at mindfulness and they said, what does mindfulness do to the individual, and what other construct does better things for the individual? And what they found was that there was one construct that trumped mindfulness. Does anybody know what it is? Absolutely. You're the only person that's ever guessed that correctly. Well done, sir. It's this. When you do mindfulness, when you do yoga, all of those things that put your mind in a better headspace, it has a good impact on you. There's no doubt about that. But the one construct that is far better than mindfulness is gratefulness. So I encourage you all as managers and leaders, after this, to pick up your phone, send a text to somebody in your team, and say thank you to them. Not because it's good for them, but of course we know that it is, but because being grateful is good for you. So I recommend that you pick up your phone, say thank you, just as I will, Jim. Thank you very much for inviting me along today. That's made me feel really good. Hopefully it's made you feel really good. Thanks very much. I encourage you all to lead well. Thank you.
So a study done by University of Queensland shows that gratefulness actually changes your blood chemistry. It's the only attitude that actually does that, and so I'll back you up with some information on that. Gratitude is the one thing that we absolutely know changes what's going on in your body. Physiologically, we know that actually happens. Now, our guys are heading off. Can we be grateful for our Junior Chamber of Commerce and our new young president? We really appreciate you guys. Darius, keep in touch, man. The other thing that I wanted to do, and Jim furiously is not looking at his phone, so I was going to get Jim to thank our sponsors. And then while he's doing that, I will thank our normal sponsors. So we have 101 FM, give us a wave. 101 FM here. Now 101 FM have a new business program at 6 p.m. on a Monday night. It's with Nicky Christensen. And it is really, really good. I know I've listened to some of the interviews that he's done, and they're really, really good. And if you're unaware of 101 FM, welcome to Logan, firstly. 101 FM is the largest community radio station in Australia, and they do some great work. And they've been great sponsors of ours for many, many years. And 101, the Business 101 show at 6 p.m. on a Monday night is a great way to connect and just listen and get some more information about what's going on in business in the area. The other thing that we do, I'll work through our sponsors. So we are one of the only chambers in Australia that has such a great relationship with our local council. Our local council, we meet with them, the presidents meet with them once a month. I think it's now once every 2 months because we just don't like the smell of you. No, but they do some really, really cool stuff, and I'm actually going to ask Jamie to say a few words because they are a great sponsor and they do great stuff for the community. Give them a warm welcome. Jamie.
Thank you, Stuart. I'll be really quick because golf is calling. Many of you, not me, not very good at it. Myself and Holly over there are business advisors with the... Holly deserves more than that, come on.
Come on, Holly!
We're business advisors with the Logan Office of Economic Development. We can help businesses free of charge. We're not selling anything except for free support. We help businesses throughout their life cycle, whether you're starting, wanting to grow a business, or even if things aren't going well and you want a hand with closing it down, get in touch with us and we can help you through with anything. If you don't know if you need help, call us and we'll tell you if you do. Cool. LOED.com.au or call up the council and they can hook you up with us. Thank you.
Of course, their details are on the Logan Chamber of Commerce webpage. Another one of our fantastic sponsors, Meadowbrook Golf Club. Yeah, go on. And making noise down the back, representing Rebel on the Breeze. They've had their ads running. They're always willing to help, not only just help us, but help out the community. Give them a round of applause, Rebel on the Breeze. All right. We've had a lot of sponsors that have made today possible, and as I said, the money is all going to go to putting. So we don't take a cent out of today. All of the money that we raise will go to putting a computer in a house in Logan, and we want to thank our sponsors. We have Munster, Scaffwise, NPE, Premier Fire. You'll see them all around because they've sponsored holes and all sorts of things. Hydro Still, that's it. Image Select, Q Power, Hip Pocket, McKeegs Engineering, Morlake Electrical, Reese, Buy Laser. Where's Buy Laser? Yeah. Tap Flow, and of course the Logan Chamber of Commerce. We've put our hand in our pocket too because we think this is a good idea. Who after me is going to buy one of the books? Right, you just get in line behind me when this finishes because I'm actually a leadership coach. Who's done some work with me in this room? Yeah, there's quite a lot of hands. And I have 6 coaches that I work with. I differentiate coaches and mentors. Mentors have done something that you're trying to do. A coach doesn't necessarily need to have done what you're trying to do. But I have 6 that I work with, so I drink from the Kool-Aid, and I would say be grateful to those that give you a hand. That ties up all of those things. It has been a fabulous morning. Have I forgotten anything? What? Oh, the Logan Chamber is sponsoring, oh dear, I'm going to win this one. The Hole in One.
Yeah, let's go, Stewie!
There's no chance. Hole in One on hole 11. Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring that one. Well, I guess that money's just going straight to Tony. just put that in. We actually tried to put together a hole in one where you would win a car. And it turned out it was much better just give the money to Tony anyway. But as part of that, we did some research. And because the insurers wanted to know what that looks like, there's never been a hole in one on this course. So I'm going to be the first. And everyone else can follow after me. What happens if there's more than one?
Wow.
Today's the day, guys. Look, what I would say is be grateful. Be thankful for the fact that we aren't in Victoria, for a start. We're certainly not in Brazil, and we're not in the US. Be thankful for the fact that we've got our health. Be thankful for the fact that you're sitting in a room with some amazing people, and we really do have some amazing people. If you haven't had a chance to say hello to Miriam, make sure that you do. Say hello to David, buy a book, be grateful for what we've got. Thank you very much. Our next breakfast will be the AGM, as boring as that is, will be the AGM, but we're also having a candidates grill. So that isn't that we're out in the car park as the guy from Lions Springwood thought, that we're going to have a barbecue, because that's all sorts of COVID naughty. No, we're going to be grilling the candidates. So the candidates at Springwood have been invited, and I can't see Emma, but she would give me a nod to tell me if they've all accepted yet. But that will be on the first Wednesday of October. I think that's the 7th of October. It's going to be fun. Hey! No, we hide that from you. We hide that from you. But you'll be great. You'll be great. So that's in October. Next Tuesday. Is it next Tuesday? Yes, it is next Tuesday. The Entrepreneur Series. Who's attended a Griffith Entrepreneur Series seminar? Yeah. They're really, really good. And Glenn is actually going to be talking from Pet World Resorts. Did I get it right in the right order? I always forget which way those words go. Animal. Say it to me. Go on. Animal World Pet Resorts. I knew World was in there, I knew Animals, I knew Resorts, but I don't put them in the right order. But I've seen him speak a number of times and he is amazing. So he's going to be talking about finance, and that's all online. So that is on Tuesday night from 5:30. And you get your tickets for Wednesday morning breakfast. If you haven't sick of seeing me, I'll be on radio on Monday night, I'll be on the webinar on Tuesday, and I'll be at the breakfast on Wednesday. Just live my life here. We're very lucky to be here, aren't we? Yeah. All right. Have a fabulous morning. Those that are playing golf, stick around. Art Union. What are we doing with that?
Buy tickets.
Buy tickets to the Art Union before you head off.
Five tickets puts a computer on the desk of a kid.
Yeah, 5 tickets puts a computer on the desk for a kid in Logan. All right. It is actually for a really good cause. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for putting up with me. If you aren't a member of the Chamber of Commerce, please join. If you are a member and you're not on our Facebook group, talk to Carolyn. Carolyn will hook you up and make sure that you know how to do it, because, it's Facebook and I can barely spell it. Awesome. Thank you very much. Have a great day.